Arihi Om, everybody. My name is Bryce. We're just today talking about my story and how to use this YouTube channel. My introduction to the healing arts started at the age of 15 to prevent having my entire spine fused together with titanium. Surgeon said I'd end up in a wheelchair by the time I was 30 if I didn't have that surgery. Well, now I'm 38 years old, no wheelchair, no surgery, and I'm very blessed and very grateful that I can do things with my body that very few people in the world can do, and I can do these things painlessly. Now, dear family friends, Andrew Epler and Ray Epler owned Ashtanga Yoga Studio. They're in Norman, Oklahoma, which is where I grew up. They found out I was facing this option of full spinal fusion. They said, hey, whoa, before you commit to surgery, just try yoga. Just give it a shot. Come and take a class. I thought, well, what have I got to lose? And in that first class, which is a very beginner, modified version of primary series, couldn't touch my toes, couldn't do a single push-up, but I felt at home in my body. I felt so good. I just knew in that moment that I was never going to have surgery, and I was not going to end up in a wheelchair. I just knew it. I committed myself to that realization, to that epiphany, to that desire, to that dream. Now, this scoliosis, this significant scoliosis pattern developed in the course of 2 years, between the ages of 13 and 15. And in that course of time, I was extremely disconnected from my body. Before that time, I was deep into martial arts, Taekwondo. And at the age of 13, I had a significant concussion, and I didn't want to fight anymore. I lost my taste for fighting, for blood, for violence. It just wasn't fun anymore. And I just got severely depressed. I totally disconnected from my body during that time. And it was just all up in my head. Going through growth spurts, this scoliosis pattern, which may have been there beforehand, but wasn't really prolific, it wasn't visible, it really just exacerbated. It just like flourished during that time of disconnection. And so, It was manifesting simply as neck pain. When I went to a chiropractor for this neck pain, they did x-rays. Like, oh my God, man, your spine is just like zoop, 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 huge S curve. It's 48-degree curve to the right in thoracic spine, 52-degree curve to the left in the lumbar spine. It's pretty significant. So I got into yoga, felt amazing, reconnecting with my body, going through a huge chapter of reassociating with my embodiment. And after about 5 years of very intense practice, learning primary series, intermediate series, and advanced A series, my teachers, they said, hey man, we're running out of stuff to teach you. If you really want to go deeper in this path, you got to go to India. You got to study with our teacher, Sri B.N.S. Iyengar of Mysore, India. At the time he was in his 80s. And he is a direct student of Krishnamacharya. Now he's 98 years old. He's going to be 99 this month. This is, September 2025. He's going to be 99. He's a living legend. He's the eldest teacher of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. He's a direct student of Krishnamacharya and Pattabhi Jois. He studied with both of them in the, 1920s, 1930s, whenever that was, before Krishnamacharya got transferred to Chennai, to Madras, and he left all of his students with his senior teacher, Pattabhi Jois. So whoever is studying with him, then they started studying with Pattabhi Jois. Sri B.N.S. Iyengar, he reveres both of them as his gurus. Now, he's not so attached to the asana sequences as other schools of Ashtanga are. He's mostly focused on preparing you for pranayama and full body hatha yoga mudras, which are sealing in the prana of the practice. And he's very passionate about the philosophy. Now, what he's preparing you for are ancient techniques. Things are about 1,000 years old or more. The asana sequences of Ashtanga Yoga, they're about 100 years old. They were curated and created by the genius of Pattabhi Jois to teach in a 4-semester course at the Sanskrit College of Mysore, India. We found this information out during the filming of our documentary, Mysore Yoga Traditions, which you can look up, you can watch it. Eventually we created a whole conference out of it. Anyways, studying with Sri B.N.S. Iyengar was transformative because I would do asana practice back home, and I would go into this painless place, this aligned place, and I would feel amazing for a few hours, but then gradually it would just kind of go right back to the same pattern. It was studying with BNS Iyengar for 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. I was in the shala doing these practices as I learned them, do it all in one stretch, that I would experience a retention of that alignment, of that painless space for much longer periods. And it really grabbed me, it really got my attention. I wanted to go as deep as possible. So the culmination of his teachings is a 48-day long practice of pranayama, which is very intense, very advanced. He doesn't teach it to everybody, but it's designed to take you into an altered state of consciousness. It is a recipe for samadhi. And so I really wanted to do it. Visa's running out, talking with Andrew, emailing with him back then, like, God, I really want to do this. Where should I go? He's like, hey man, come to Crete. I'll be there in a few months. You can study with my first teacher, Cliff Barber, who at the time was still alive. He wasn't really teaching, but he was doing his practice, which is a lot of pranayama and a lot of meditation and sacred geometry. I said, great, I'm in. I've always wanted to meet Cliff, always wanted to go to Crete, let's do this. So I made my way there, and part of studying with Cliff is you had to provide your own lodging, your own shelter, because he just lived by a river. Outdoors, open air, no material possessions, wouldn't touch money, people would just come and bring him food. His only material possessions were like art, art utensils, art materials, so that he could continue doing his sacred geometry practice. And we would just talk every day. And I found this amazing, beautiful cave along this river. And that's where I set up shop. That's where I did my practice. And this practice was transformative. It took me into a very deeply altered state of consciousness, a psychedelic state of consciousness that lasted. And I still feel, it's still with me. And it just really was incredible when it comes to aligning and healing my body, heart, mind, spirit. And I got to meet some incredible people along the way. Dear teachers of mine would come and see Cliff every year. Danny Paradise, David Williams, Petros Hoffenrichter. I got to meet some really incredible people while I was there, and I'm just forever grateful for that chapter of my life, because it really anchored me onto this particular path. Visa ran out, came back to the United States, had no idea what I wanted to do for a career path. I just knew I wanted to heal. And that's when I very much seriously started teaching for a living as a career path. I resisted it for a long time, had my own hold-ups and hang-ups around accepting money for the practice, but it dawned on me, look, the only way to really do something for a living that's going to support my healing is through teaching. So that gradually became the focus. And after about 10 years of very extensive, very intense daily practice of doing all 4 of the classical sequences of Ashtanga Vinyasa, as they were really popular in the 1970s, primary series, intermediate series, advanced A and advanced B, sometimes all in one day, along with all the mudras and all the pranayama from Sri BNS Iyengar. After 10 years of very intense practice, I developed repetitive use injuries simply because I wasn't fully aware of my own anatomy. I was all chakras, all nadis, all energy, but I didn't have any anatomical training or any anatomical knowledge. And so I was doing these very advanced practices, but I was compensating to do them. My strong areas were getting stronger, my weak areas were just atrophying, simply because I didn't know how to activate them. And my teachers had never even worked with a body like mine or with a person like myself, so it's nobody's fault but my own ignorance and my own lack of awareness of how to activate my body and become aware of my body. So in a moment, in a chapter of intensified pain, sharp shooting pain down my arms and legs, couldn't even lift up a coffee cup without sharp shooting pain. My girlfriend at the time, her mother, encouraged me to study yoga therapy and connected me with the program she was studying with. And that's when I started studying with integrative yoga therapy, and where I met my mentor there, Maria Mendola. That was her name at the time. Now her name is Maria Shamas. She's an incredible woman based out of Tucson, Arizona. And this woman, she's broken every single bone in her body like twice. She's had trees fall on her, crush her whole body, heal all of it, and she's a registered nurse, so she knows her anatomy. And during her training with Mukunda Styles, she specialized in working with people with scoliosis. We just immediately bonded. And that's where I learned the anatomy. That's when I was really able to map out the tension in my body, the tension patterns, the compensation patterns of muscle fibers around the spine. And I really understood, oh, this is why my spine is crooked and twisted. Ah, my left pec is stronger than my right pec. Ah, my right abs are stronger than the left. And it's the exact opposite at the back of the body. Right side of upper back is stronger than the left side, and the left side of lower back is stronger than the right. And that is what's twisting my spinal arm. Wow, incredible. And so through that anchoring of this anamaya kosha, of this physical body, and studying the anatomy and really mapping out my own patterns, was I able to really start to reverse this pattern in a new way. So I had to start from the ground up all over again. Relearn how to walk, relearn how to move, and even just write and text and drive and do simple everyday human movements from the ground up again, but doing it painlessly, finding range of movement where there's zero pain, and learning how to trick my weak areas into firing. And I learned a whole lot of incredible physiotherapy type of practices from Maria, and I developed my own just through laying on the basement floor, spending hours, countless hours, massaging my own body with therapy balls and activating very specific areas, tricking those weak areas into firing, finding a range of movement where I didn't compensate but where those weak areas had to fire. I started to heal. Pain started disappearing, and I was able to gradually apply that knowledge to the Ashtanga Vinyasa sequences, and then gradually start creating my own Vinyasa sequences. And then as I was able to apply this to my body, I was able to start applying it to my student base and really learning how to customize therapeutic practices and curate practices for these individual people right in front of me, because each and every single person is a unique pattern and puzzle of imbalances, let's say. Physical, energetic, emotional, psychological, spiritual. We're all so unique, and it's beautiful because we're not supposed to be the same. We're not supposed to be symmetrical. The heart's on the left side, so the left lung is smaller. The liver's on the right side, and the whole body is asymmetrical. It is not supposed to be symmetrical, but we can become aware of these patterns of compensation, and we can gradually move towards symmetry, and that's when pain starts to disappear. Even if symmetry doesn't become possible, we can move in that direction, and that's when pain starts to alleviate. Now, we're all specialists in something. We're all too good at something. In every movement that we do, one muscle contracts and an opposite muscle relaxes for everything that we do. But because we're creatures of habit, because we brush our teeth with the same hand, or brush our hair with the same hand, or reach for the doorknob, or make the coffee the same way, or whatever it is, we develop these patterns of compensation. Some muscles get too strong, and they pull the bones out of alignment because the antagonist muscles, the opposite muscles, are just atrophying because we don't know how to use them, or not able to, or we're choosing not to because it's inefficient, because it takes too much time. And so your life, the way you move, the way you hold yourself, creates patterns of compensation, and that's what sets us up for our pain. And the majority of our pain is because of repetitive use injuries, because we do the exact same thing the exact same way over and over, day in, day out. And that's what sets us up for pain. Now, the other type of pain is a blunt trauma. And even after trauma, there's a recovery where we usually compensate so we don't put excessive pressure on that part of the body so that it can heal. Same thing emotionally. It's like we learn how to stabilize our consciousness when there's an emotional trauma by focusing in a particular area where we feel good, and that's how we survive it. But very often we don't have the tools necessarily at that time to feel fully that trauma, that interruption of experience, as one of my teachers defines trauma. And so we don't go there, we leave it behind, we focus forward, but all that repressed stuff is just sitting there waiting for us once we do have the tools to navigate it and feel it. And that energy, those chemicals, those stressor chemicals get stored in the body. As you start moving your body, it's going to release those same emotions that were present during traumatic experiences for you to heal, for you to feel it more fully with the tools that you have now that you didn't have way back when. Okay? So, I specialize in helping people map out their body and map out their consciousness. Tension in the body starts as tension in the consciousness, as my dear mentor June Miller says. Your body is a map to consciousness, to your emotional state. Now, we can do physical practices to support physical healing, but that will not necessarily force us to feel our emotions. So there are practices for every layer of every dimension of our body. Doing the physical practice will stir up the emotions so that we can be with them and understand them. Now, when it comes to emotional healing, most of my knowledge there came from ceremonies, from shamanism, plant medicine, because that provided the context and the safe environment to feel fully what was in there, what had yet to be felt, and it provided the tools of meaning making to understand and to search for the truth, for the gold, for the ways in which those past experiences have actually helped to support me in cultivating the wisdom that I have now. It helped me honor the past. Not in a delusional way of, oh, let's just think positive all the time. No. You gotta feel fully whatever that pain is, and inside that pain, there's some gold buried underneath it. There's something to learn. There's something that we can yoke. There's something that we can find within there that we can take forward with us that actually helps us be the best version of ourselves that we actually are. You know, wisdom, courage, strength. These are things that arise from feeling difficult things and doing difficult things. It doesn't happen by you get courage and you get strong and you get wise and then you do the work. No, it happens the other way around. These attributes arise from navigating the intensity that we've been avoiding. And that's physical, energetic, psycho-emotional, spiritual, etc. So, the way to use this channel and get the most benefit, I'm in a process of recording many, like hundreds of videos for healing specific injuries, as well as activating specific weak areas in the body and releasing areas of tension. There are two basic ingredients for physical healing. Number one, you have to relax what is already too strong. Number two, strengthen what is weak. Because every movement that we do, one set of muscle contracts and the opposite set relaxes. Because of our patterns of movement, something gets too strong and its antagonist becomes weak. So you have to strengthen the weak and you have to relax what is too strong. Fastest way to relax what is too strong is through massage. Best form of massage, somebody else's hands, but somebody else's hands are not always available and they get tired and they're expensive. Second best form of massage are your own hands, but your own hands will get tired and probably your body needs a lot more pressure than what your hands can provide. Third best form of massage, therapy balls, lacrosse balls, super bouncy balls, tennis balls, whatever kind of balls you got. The ball never gets tired. And the most beautiful part is that nobody knows you better than you do. Nobody can feel your tension and understand your tension and the emotions that are connected with it better than you can. So, it's going to be a whole series on self-massage and how to massage literally every square inch, every square centimeter of your entire body so that you have the power, you have the ability, you have the tools to release tension anywhere in your body as it accumulates in real time, whenever you want. And that's freedom. But just focusing on massage, stretching, opening, releasing is only 50% of the recipe for completely removing pain from the body. Until we strengthen the areas of weakness, the same tension patterns will continue to arise. Okay? So as you strengthen where there's weakness, the tension will shift. It's a conscious form of tension. It's a stability. As the stability shifts into those areas of weaknesses, they get stronger. The areas that are too tight and too strong on you right now will automatically start to soften. The massage will speed that process up dramatically, and it'll keep the pressure off the joints. It'll take the pressure off the tendons so that they can heal, help reduce inflammation, and it's immediate pain relief, self-massage. Strengthening the areas of weakness, that is a slow build. That takes time to bring energy, electricity through those weak nerve paths into those atrophied muscles and to gradually build up their tone. So, my friends, the videos on healing injuries are usually going to be a combination of how to massage an area and how to strengthen another area to support the healing of that particular injury. There's going to be a whole other series on how to specifically wake up very particular muscles in the body. And these practices are going to be extremely gentle, extremely approachable by the majority of humanity. These practices are so simple that you're really tricking any weak area into firing. Make the practice so simple and so small that you minimize any chance of compensation. That's what those videos are going to be about. Then going to be a whole series on how to massage each and every single part of the body. Then I'll gradually get into asana sequences, asana practices, mudras, pranayama, the whole kit caboodle. So stay tuned, my friends. If there's ever anything I can do to support you, reach out, just a phone call away. I'm pretty good about getting back to emails, text messages, responding to things on social media. I'm easy to get a hold of. I've got online Vinyasa Yoga Therapy every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time here in the United States. $10 for drop-in. You can do unlimited package and get access to all the recordings. And other than that, I've got workshops, retreats worldwide. I'm right here in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. We're going to have a boatload of retreats coming up right here. I usually do one retreat a year in Europe, in Crete, because it's one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. And I actually take people to the cave that I lived in, and I take people to this sacred waterfall, 80 foot high, ice cold, Arctic blue water that you can only get to through swimming through a gorge and around this bend, and you get this moment of magic. So reach out, don't be a stranger. If you got questions about these practices, about these videos, just reach out. Let me know. I'm here for you. Okay? Because if I can just help one person and support one person in alleviating their pain and their suffering, then it makes me feel like, maybe all that suffering, all that pain that I went through is not in vain. It's worth it just to help one person. And that one person could be you. So that, being of service, that's what gets me out of bed every morning. And that's what gets me out of my head. That's what keeps me right here in my heart. So don't feel like you're, making my life difficult. You're actually doing the opposite when you reach out. You actually light me up. It actually brings joy to my heart to be of service and to support to others. So that being said, I'm here for you. Thank you for watching this video. Wish you all the best on your journey. Harihi Om.